The Deadpool game, full of crude humour, over-the-top violence, and did I mention, even more crude humour? What better game to kick off our hunt for a Platinum Trophy? Hey everyone, Woodsy here, and welcome to the Platinum Pursuit, the brand new series where we chase down PS3, 4, and 5 Platinum Trophies. I've been itching to revisit Deadpool for a while now, and after I paid a totally reasonable price for it, I figured why not go all in and platinum it while I'm at it. I've always loved completing games, but recently I've been guilty of just completing the story and then moving on to the next game. Well, that ends today. Today, we're setting out on our adventure to platinum Deadpool on the PS4, and we're going to be platinuming many more games to come as well. But I'm not going to bore you any longer, folks. Let's jump right into the adventure. To kick things off, I set the difficulty to Ultra Violence. This would let us stack 3 trophies for completing the game on each difficulty level in one go, saving us from having to go back and replay the game multiple times. Efficiency is key after all. With the difficulty locked in, the game wasted no time in rewarding us. Our first trophy popped just for getting Deadpool off his ass. Look at that. One trophy already. And then, before we could even move, we snagged another trophy. Look at that, that's 2. This is a great start. Once we were up and mobile though, I began exploring Deadpool's apartment to work on the next trophy, which was playing with everything in Deadpool's apartment. But before I even got halfway through, I was greeted with a surprise trophy for making some pancakes. Enough pancakes there. After thoroughly exploring and interacting with all of Deadpool's weird and interesting items, the trophy finally popped. That's another one. And with that done, I answer the door to officially kick off the adventure. Our journey begins with the usual tutorial, learning to attack, jump, parry, all the essentials. During this, I started noticing some annoying frame drops. At first, I thought this was due to the game running on the PS4, however, we'll come back to this later on. Once the basics were out of the way, it was time to face some bad guys. During the first big fight, I managed to pop another trophy for racking up a 40-hit combo. Oh. What was that for? This was a bit of a lucky break, since you need to hit this before the next section where the elevators cut off the fight completely. Now, everything seemed fine, but those frame drops kept bugging me. I decided to switch over to the PS5, hoping the newer hardware might solve the issue. This meant restarting the game, but I figured it was worth it to avoid any further problems while earning trophies. Unfortunately, the issue persisted. I did some quick research and found out it's an unresolved bug with the PS4 version of Deadpool. It turns out it could have been fixed with a simple patch, but since the game was pulled from stores and Activision no longer holds the rights, no patch was ever released or will ever release. Ridiculous, right? But here's the catch. Fixing it was so simple. I couldn't believe it. All I had to do was turn off my internet on the PS5, and just like that, the game ran perfectly. No more frame drops. Who would have thought Deadpool's big bad of the game would have been the internet connection, right? With the frame rate issue behind us, it was time to get back to the real mission, collecting more trophies. Let's dive back in and see what Deadpool has in store for us next. After mowing down waves of enemy goons, hijacking a helicopter, and taking out enemies wielding some ridiculously oversized guns, we put Deadpool's favourite tool, C4, to good use. Blowing our way into a heavily fortified panic room, we wrapped up the first chapter with a satisfying explosion and snagged ourselves our next trophy for completing the level.
Yeah, that was
That's a trophy! Heading into the next chapter, things slowed down a bit. We chased some B-list villains through the sewer, only to realise that we had somehow burned through the entire game's budget. Along the way, I missed a couple of trophies, but don't worry, we'll circle back for those eventually. Eventually, we discovered the mastermind behind the stolen bounty was none other than Mr. Sinister himself. And let's just say, he wasn't exactly thrilled about us crashing his little sewer party. In true villain fashion, he decided to blow me to pieces, but hey, silver lining, a trophy pop for completing the chapter. After regenerating my body, because you know Sinister had to blow it up, we were greeted by some familiar faces. Domino, Psylocke, Rogue, and everyone's favourite hairy mutant, Wolverine. They informed us that we needed to head to Genosha, and in true Deadpool fashion, we made our grand entrance by immediately crashing the Blackbird and having to save everybody. Before we could get back to business of finding more bad guys to beat up, I decided to check on my old buddy Wolvie to make sure that he was okay, so I gave him a few slaps to try and wake him up.
Rise and shine, Stubby. Wake up! at him. Fine then. That's for all the clown jokes. That's for never calling just to say hi. That's because I get aroused when I slap people. That's for all the furry midgets in the world. That's because I feel like it. Why? Whoa! You! Wake up! Wake up! That's because the player keeps mashing the button. That's because I like slapping fleshy things with this hand. That's for being in more comics than me. That's for making me love you. That's for making me hate you. That's for never taking us to the prom. That's for always working late. That's for being short. That's for stabbing me in the heart. Literally. That's for never letting me fly the Blackbird except when I crashed it. That's for being the worst wingman in bromance history. That's because I want to see if the player will keep doing this. That's for all the hot gamer girls out there. Hey, call me. That's for being a total douche.
Fuck's sake.
That's for never washing the dishes. That's for last year's white elephant gift. Who wants a white elephant? And finally, that's because the whole setup just added 5 minutes of bonus play to the most awesome game ever devised by mutant or man.
And what do you know? Another trophy popped for my efforts. Totally worth it. After delivering Wolverine his happy slaps, I made my way through Genosha, mowing down waves of enemies in classic Deadpool style. Along the way, I managed to snag another trophy for eliminating 50 enemies by holding onto a cooked grenade. Because if I'm going down, I'm taking them with me. And then not long after that, I managed to snag another trophy, this time for collecting 100 tacos, because nothing says mercenary on a mission quite like hoarding an absurd amount of snacks. After turning Genosha into a goon-free zone, we ran into our old pal Cable, and I was just curious to know a little bit more about Cable. So, who the fuck is Cable? And there's a trophy involved with this as well. After that Who the Fuck is Cable musical number, our Metal Arm buddy somehow managed to bore me so badly with his monologue that I had no choice but to literally blow my own brains out just to escape the conversation. Fast forward to my miraculous recovery, and what do I find? Cable had stabbed a note into my chest, letting me know that our number one fangirl was waiting for us deeper in Genosha. Obviously I couldn't leave a devoted fan hanging, that'd be rude. Time to meet the poor soul who actually thinks I'm a role model. So, onward we marched, well, more like chaotically sprinted, through the crumbling ruins of Genosha, slicing and dicing bad guys like a chimichanga-fueled blender on high speed. After painting the town red, literally, we finally reached our number one fangirl. But, plot twist, it wasn't a fangirl at all, it was Cable. Again. Boo, false advertising. He started rambling about needing our help. Something about Sinister hiding out in a nearby tower and how we absolutely, definitely, totally shouldn't go after him. Naturally, I did what any sane, responsible, mentally stable mercenary would do and completely ignored him. We scaled the tower like the majestic murder goats we are, slicing through anyone dumb enough to get in our way. Along the way, we ran into a couple of spin wheels. Yeah, we'll get back to those later. They're a thing. But more importantly, we found him. Sinister himself. So naturally, we zapped his brains into hot villain goo. Boom! Done. Bad guy dead. Game over. Roll credits. See ya! Okay, fine. It was just a clone. Classic villain move. That meant one thing. Another detour through Genosha. This time, we were on the hunt for some spare parts to fix up an old Sentinel foot. Why? So we could bounce around the war-torn ruins like a giant mechanical pogo stick of destruction, maiming, exploding, and absolutely butchering everyone in sight. Oh, it was beautiful. Poetry and ultra-violence. Sadly, all good rampages must come to an end. The chapter wrapped up, but hey, we scored another trophy. Small win, big body count. I'll take it. Our glorious pogo boot shenanigans came to a screeching halt when all of a sudden we collided with Rogue in midair. Yeah, that wasn't great. Next thing we know, we're plummeting towards the ground, crashing into what appears to be an old prison for mutants. Not exactly my idea of a vacation spot. After finally hitting the dirt, I saw Blockbuster, one of the B-list villains from earlier on, grab Rogue and carry her off. Well, there's no time to waste. Looks like we got ourselves a good old-fashioned rescue mission. But first, I needed to find my arm so I could twist my head back on the right way. And that involved chasing Mr. Sugums around the prison, trying to get my arm from him. With my arm resecured, reattached, and my head twisted back to its devilishly handsome position, I started making my way through the mutant prison. and there were plenty of meat bags who were ready to be sliced and diced. But the real spectacle of the prison? Oh, that was waiting in the shower room. A whole bunch of lovely ladies to interact with. And being the charming, totally respectful gentleman that I am, I made sure to engage with each and every one of them. And in being a bit of a social butterfly, I managed to earn myself a shiny new trophy. Eat your heart out, Captain Charisma. Unfortunately, the shower room turned out to be nothing more than a steamy figment of my overactive imagination. So naturally, I snapped back to reality and did what I do best. Murdered everybody in sight. As we carved our way deeper into the prison, we finally reached a room where Rogue was being tortured. Obviously, I sprang into heroic action and planted some bombs because that's what real heroes do, right? But hold up, is that Sinister in that room? Well, look who's just become my top priority. I crept into his room like the stealthy murder ninja I am, and I took out each one of his guards with a different weapon. And this earned me a cheeky little trophy. Then, for dramatic flair, I finished Sinister off with my sword, which of course unlocked another glorious trophy. Deadpool 2, Sinister 0.
Pose for the camera, Mr. Silly.
And yet, to everybody's surprise, again, this Sinister turned out to be, you guessed it, another clone. After turning Sinister's clone into Sword Salad, I suddenly remembered, oh right, Rogue, still needed to rescue her. So I waltzed into the arena and bam, another trophy just for checking in. Gotta love participation rewards, right? In the arena, I found myself face to face with Blockbuster. Yeah, that B-list villain who decided to kidnap Rogue. Time to bring on a full-on mercenary beatdown. After a beautiful, messy boss fight, Blockbuster hit the ground harder than Deadpool's box office earnings in an alternate universe. With him out of the way, it was time for our grand finale, our explosive rescue plan. One massive kaboom later, Rogue dropped right into our arms like a damsel in distress straight out of a fanfic. She was weak, and me? Well, I've got a lovely thing called a regenerative healing factor. Rogue's got a nifty little power sucking thing going on, so you see where this is going, right? Yeah, we kissed. For health reasons, strictly medical, very professional. With that spicy little smooch out of the way, again, purely for health reasons, we suddenly found ourselves inside Rogue's head, and also somehow in control of her body. So, we decided to let Rogue take the wheel for a little bit. She slashed, smashed, and absolutely annihilated her way through the rest of the level like a total badass. And wouldn't you know it, we nabbed another shiny trophy for all the chaos. With Rogue coming to an end of her stylish slice and dice routine, we finally came round to our senses and thought we could help by trying to throw a grenade in the middle of the fight. However, as we threw the grenade, our friend Mr. Sugums thought it was a game of catch and decided to grab the grenade and bring it back to us. With the grenade exploding, the blast flung us into what looked like a creepy set of catacombs. Of course, nothing's ever simple. On the way down, we seemed to have lost our legs. Just poof, gone. So, we were hanging by our intestines, so I had to cut myself down and land on some poor unsuspecting goon just so I can walk around to find my legs. After I got blown into the cart where my legs were, I found myself back in my apartment. Not just by myself though, but with Lady Death herself. She explained something about rescuing spirits, blah da blah da blah. I wasn't really paying attention, let's just get back to killing people. After messing around with a barrel machine that caused even more explosions, and taking a little minecart ride, I finally ran into my old pal Cable again. And I can tell you, he was as thrilled as ever to see me. After me and Cable exchanged our usual awkward yet affectionate greeting, Lady Death herself decided to pop in, as we were about to go on a little errand for her to help her rescue 3 lost spirits. I could already smell the trophies waiting for me on the way. First up, I found myself in a room that had serious don't stand in the dark or get eaten by ghosts energy. And also in the room, there were some chests. 11 to be exact. We had to open all 11 chests in order to trigger another trophy. Some were in the light, some were in the dark. But eventually, we managed to open them all, and in doing so, triggered another trophy. After doing that, there was a pipe in front of me. So, I naturally slid down the pipe. Wrong franchise for that sound effect, I know, but whatever. There wasn't really too much going on down there, except for the return of the keg launching machine from earlier, now in full boss mode. Took it down no problems though, and just like that, the first spirit was rescued. Time for spirit number 2 now, and right off the bat, I could have got another trophy just for being patient. But no, I decided it was a good idea to be impatient. We'll come back to this one later on. After cutting my way to the front of the line, I was on the carnival ride from hell. armed with nothing but guns, questionable reflexes, and a deep-seated hatred of clowns. I racked up a high score by popping creepy heads left and right, and it was surprisingly easy. Too easy. Suspiciously easy. But hey, at least we got another trophy for our efforts. Aside from that, there's not really much else to report on the rest of the carnival ride. Just your average parade of clown corpses and bullet casings, you know, standard stuff. Anyway, on to the third and final spirit, and honestly, this one was a bit of a letdown in the trophy department. 0 shiny rewards to be earned here, just a couple of puzzles to solve. Oh yeah, that one lucky fan that we promised to include in the game, who we also promised to kill, which we did, with style. You're welcome, buddy. Aside from that, it was a fairly straightforward sprint to the finish line. And with all 3 spirits accounted for, we wrapped up the level and snagged ourselves another trophy. Boom! One step closer to that sweet, sweet platinum. After giving death a hand, we geared up for the second to last hurdle. Things got dicey really quick. A few sections had me stuck in an endless loop of goon beatdowns, just wave after wave of meatbags trying to ruin my day. But after a little trial and error, and a lot of dying, we broke through the horde. As we were coming to the end of the level though, there came a point where we had to breach a door. And in order to earn another trophy, we had to do this in 10 seconds. So, I kicked in the door, repeatedly pressed the shoot button, and lo and behold, another trophy popped. And moments later, we got another trophy just for wrapping up the level. And with that level all wrapped up, it's now brought us to the final level. The front gates of evil. So, naturally, I asked myself, how many more trophies can I squeeze in before we finish up our first playthrough of the game? Well, let's take a look. First up, dying. A lot. Specifically, 10 times in a row on the floating staircase leading to Sinister. This was easy enough though, as it took me a while to climb up the stairs and I got killed a lot, but hey, at least there's a trophy for it, right? Then, roughly around the mid-ascent, I figured it was the perfect time for a little self-improvement. I spent all my points, maxed out all my upgrades, and boom, another trophy. Full power, full chaos, you'd think I'd be unstoppable now, right? Wrong. Before I could lay a finger on Sinister, I had to fight for a banquet of baddies, including Blockbuster, Arclight, and Vertigo again. Yep, they were all back, courtesy of Sinister's favourite party trick, cloning people I already murdered. After finally mopping the floor of these knockoffs though, it was time for the grand finale, Mr. Sinister. And surprise, surprise, hundreds of his clones. After a solid massacre, the real one finally showed his smug face. And believe me, I made sure he's not getting back up again. And with Sinister down, we managed to snag ourselves another 3 trophies. One for completing the level, one for completing the game on veteran difficulty, and one for completing the game on ultra violence. Main story done, now it's time for cleanup. Let's chase down the rest of those trophies and grab that sweet platinum. So to kick things off, I began the challenge mode grind. There's a few trophies here that we can pick up, the main one being finish 5 challenges with a gold medal, but more on that later, as I managed to get a fairly easy pickup just by hitting the pause button and turning the dialogue slider all the way to 0. Can't beat an easy trophy pickup like that. Now, as I've started the challenge mode, let me explain it a bit more. The way that it works is each medal works like a difficulty, bronze being the easiest, gold being the hardest. All we have to do is defeat waves of enemies until we're done. Make sense? Cool. The next trophy I got was for countering 25 enemies while attempting a gold or silver challenge. This was easy enough as the counter was one of my most used abilities in my playthrough of the main story, so this was a nice easy pickup. And sticking with the challenge trophies, our next trophy came from comboing an entire wave on a gold challenge. And I thought this was going to be easy, however, it ended up taking me a few attempts before we got it just right. Okay. Nope, failed. And we fucking failed it right at the last minute. But once we did, we managed to bag ourselves another trophy. After blasting through a few more challenges, I decided it was time to take a break from them and head back to the main game to clear up some more trophies that I missed along the way in the story. The best part about this, I don't have to do it on hard mode to get these, so we can go through the game on the nice, easy difficulty. The first trophy that we grabbed was for fully upgrading all of our weapons, because let's be honest, who doesn't love a fully maxed out arsenal? Nothing says peace and love like maximum firepower. Next, I headed back to level 1. The goal? Get from the studio lobby to the boardroom within 5 minutes. And thanks to my fully upgraded loadout, this made it as easy as ever. All we had to do was just blast our way through and enemies melted like butter on toast. With all those goons gunned down, we managed to secure ourselves the trophy. With level 1 all neatly wrapped up, I moved over to level 2 to clear up a few more trophies. First on the list, beating Arclight without taking any damage from her slam attacks. This one only took a few tries. Turns out the secret strategy was don't get hit. Revolutionary, I know. Anyway, trophy unlocked. Up next, and still on the same level, we had to defeat Vertigo and the 2 phases in under 60 seconds. And honestly, this was way easier than it sounded. Fully upgraded Deadpool basically tears through these guys like a blender set to maximum carnage. And with that, another trophy in the bag. And finally, to clear out this level, it was time to hit the water park. Sort of. The next trophy had me ride down a water slide without taking any damage. Sounds simple, right? Nope. Every time I thought I had it, there'd be a sneaky grate right at the bottom waiting to smack me in the face. But after enough resets, retries, and Deadpool style cursing, we finally nailed it and managed to grab the trophy. We actually fucking did it. After our lovely little sewer slide, it was back to Genosha, where the next challenge was to reach our number 1 fangirl using only hammers and the pulse rifles. Honestly, this one was pretty straightforward. The pulse rifles did most of the heavy lifting, and I was using the hammers quite a bit anyway, so this was an easy pickup and another trophy secured. Immediately after that, we were thrown into the Tower Plaza section where I needed to stealth kill 4 enemies. This took me a few attempts to map out the guard patterns, but once I got the hang of it, it was pretty simple, and another trophy to add to the collection. And keeping in the same area, remember earlier on when we were ascending the tower and I said we missed the trophy? Well, we're going to pick that trophy up now. When we were ascending the tower and spinning the wheels of randomness, we managed to pick up a trophy for shooting all the balloons and the cow that was flying around in the storm. This was such a simple trophy to pick up, but it's very easy to miss as well. But we have it in the bag now, let's go on to the next one. After our trip in Genosha, I headed back to the mutant prison, where I had to cross the toxic river section without actually falling in. And with this one, I might have had to reset the level a couple of times after falling in. But we eventually managed to get to the other side without smelling like shit and bagging ourselves another trophy. Now, upon getting that trophy, I didn't realise that I could have picked up another one had I paid attention, but I didn't. So for now, we'll leave that one for the moment and we'll come back to it a little bit later. So let's go get ourselves a triple whammy right now. Now, it might have seemed like I was going back through the game in level order, and I kind of was, but I decided if I could get multiple trophies in one go, I would. So, I loaded up the front gates of evil and started hopping over all the floating debris, and this got me a trophy for not falling off. I also went through the entire level only using my swords and katanas and also not dying, and this managed to get me another 2 trophies to add to the collection as well. After grabbing the rest of the trophies in the front gates of evil, I decided it was time to go back to the challenge mode and get the rest of the gold medals in order to snag ourselves another quick trophy. After finishing up the challenge mode, I went back to the Death Baby level, as there's a couple of trophies here that we can pick up, and they're relatively easy. Now, remember earlier on where I said that I could have got a trophy for just being patient, but I wasn't patient? Well, I went back, and this time I was patient, and my patience was rewarded with a trophy. And while I was at it, I also picked up another trophy for finishing the level wearing a pirate hat as well. After finishing Death Baby, I went back to the Road of Victory level where 2 very easy trophies are. The first was for collecting all coins and ammo in the bathroom section of the level. This section is very easy to miss, however this will become very important shortly. And then the next trophy was just a few steps away. Right in the office block at the other end of the room, all I had to do was destroy a photocopier. Yep, blow up office equipment, get a trophy. With that, all the easy trophies were out the way. We only had 3 more to go. First up, remember I said we could have picked up another trophy in the prison? Yeah, that trophy is for not countering a single enemy in the entire level, including the blockbuster boss fight at the end. So after doing a bit of research, I found out how to achieve what I thought was unachievable. For the first time ever, I actually had to use the flashbangs to stun Blockbuster so I could safely whack away at him without needing to counter. With this little strategy, we managed to snag ourselves another trophy. 2 trophies remaining now before the platinum, and these 2 had me a bit worried. First, back to the front gates of evil, where we had to bank a 75 hit combo while climbing the stairs. This might sound easy enough, but playing this level on easy didn't get us anywhere near a 75 hit combo, so there was only one option: back to hard mode. This took me a good few attempts to get, Every time we got hit or we were too slow to move up the stairs, we broke our combo. It was annoying, but with enough trial and error, we finally popped the trophy.
We have momentum. Now we should use it.
Come on.
This is the part where I kick your ass. See these? These are bullets. I almost feel bad.
75. Come on. Yes. Now, the final trophy. The one that stood between me and my very first platinum for the channel was for landing a 300 hit combo. And honestly, I had no clue how I was supposed to pull this off. Even during the story, my highest combo barely hit 150. Doubling that felt impossible. I thought the best way to do this was to go into the challenge mode and do the infinite mode, as that would just keep spawning enemies in. But even after a few good runs, the highest combo I managed to get was around the 200 mark. I was stumped, so I did a bit of research and then I found the answer. I loaded up the Road to Victory level and headed to the section just before the bathroom where we grabbed the coins earlier. Here's where the magic happens. Step 1. Clear out all the enemies in the area except for the guy who gives the shield buff and the big guy. Step 2. Carefully kite both enemies into the little bathroom area, and once inside I had to squeeze my way back out without dying. And with that, the setup was complete. The big guy couldn't get out of the bathroom and the shield buff guy was stuck behind him, perfectly locked in place. All that was left to do was stand outside and repeatedly unload my shotgun into the big guy while the shield kept him alive long enough to rack up the hits. Honestly, I don't have any better way to describe it, so just sit back and watch this beautiful moment unfold. This actually fucking works. Yes. Come on. Then we just need a shotgun, right? $300.
And that's how you do it.
And with the combo out of the way, we popped our final trophy and the platinum after it. And with that, we have our first platinum of the channel. Hey everyone, just want to say a massive thank you if you have made it to this part of the video. I know it's probably a bit of a long one, but again, it's a lot shorter than watching 20 hours worth of streams just to find the platinum. So, obviously this is the goal overall that I wanted to do. I wanted to take the streams, turn them into videos, so that means they're shorter, and obviously you guys just get like the best bits and whatnot. But I've had a lot of fun editing this one as well. I've had a lot of fun writing the script. I've had a lot of fun doing the voiceovers, everything like that. It's just been amazing. It's been great to actually be back editing into like bigger projects and whatnot as well. I'm hoping the next one I can get out a little bit faster, but we'll see what happens, because at the same time I don't want to rush it, but at the same time I want to get it out at a decent speed. But yeah, but folks, thank you so much once again. If you do have any feedback for me, be sure to obviously leave it down in the comment section below. There'll probably be like a little flashy light somewhere here, I don't know. If you did enjoy the video as well, folks, please be sure to obviously hit the like button as well, as it lets me know that you guys have enjoyed this and you do want to see more as well. And last but not least, if you want to see more as well, hit the subscribe button as well. But anyway, folks, thanks again for watching, and I will catch you all in the next Platinum Pursuit. See ya!